Hello everybody and welcome to what is already being dubbed Motorsport for the Minecraft generation. It is the Downforce Grand Prix World Series 2020 and we come to one of the most legendary and prolific circuits in the world. It is the Mount Panorama circuit in Bathurst, Australia for the Grand Prix of New South Wales. Jake Sanson here with all of the action in front of us. It's going to be an amazing battle for supremacy and we have got a bunch of teams that are raring to go and give us plenty of exciting entertainment. There is some, obviously, news after the first two races. We've had the teams have their first couple of races in the season, and now they have had their upgrades. So hopefully we will see a bit of a different form book. And certainly after qualifying, it's an all BAR front row with Jean-Eric Vergne picking up the pole position from Sébastien Buemi. Could be a very interesting race. Let's look at the driver standings after the first two races of the season. After two very different races and very different winners, it's Kamui Kobayashi and Andre Lotterer that tie the standings on 25 apiece. Jean-Eric Vergne and Marc Genet are very close in behind, with Lucas Di Grassi and Sébastien Buemi close in. Bruno Senna and Paul di Resta heavily in the top 10, with Sébastien Bourdais in 9th and Alex Rossi robbed of victory in Marrakesh, but still there in the top 10. Anthony Davidson has a few points on the board now, as too does Susie Wolff after 2 points finishes. Marcus Ericsson put some points on the board last time for Simtech, and then the last two scorers are Taki Inui, 10th in both races, incredibly, and then Nick Heidfeld there in the back of the field of point scorers after his pole position, but failure to finish in either of the two races so far this year. In the team standings, it is AGS that leads the way by just 1 point to BAR, and with that team on the front row of the grid, it could be a very entertaining afternoon's racing. Minardi, Onyx and Arrows are next up in the rankings. Then it is Lola in front of the Manor Cosworth squad. Simtech have points on the board, as we mentioned, as of course do 40 and Super Aguri. We have, of course, already announced that we are going to be racing our Group C battle, and that is going to be coming in weeks to come, but we will, of course, come to that when the day is due. But we have plenty of race action in front of us here at Bathurst for a 50-lap encounter of this Mount Panorama circuit, and of course we have some very exciting teams raring to go to give us plenty of action, and there are some amazing squad drivers. We've got the Super Aguri team of Nick Heidfeld and Timo Glock. They will of course be back to race for supremacy, and they want to be at the front end of the grid straight away. Onyx Grand Prix, Bruno Senna picking up a podium last time out, Sébastien Bourdais his teammate, and it'll be a very interesting pairing there. At Manor, Lucas Di Grassi and Brendan Hartley have both been in the top 3 over the course of the first two races. Hartley had the chance to win in Kyalami before technical troubles set in. Di Grassi's had a podium. Alguersuari's really struggled in qualifying heading into this one. Pedro de la Rosa, one of the stars of the show in Marrakesh, before accidentally rubbing the wall. These two have locked out the front row this time, Sébastien Buemi and Jean-Eric Vergne, with the latter getting pole position by 0.3 of a second to his Swiss teammate. Then it is the Lola pairing of Paul di Resta and Susie Wolff, who have both managed to finish in the points in both races, so they have definitely had a strong start. Then the Midland team of Enrique Bernoldi and Luciano Berti. Enrique Bernoldi much quicker this time than he has been in previous races. Berti still trying to get himself up to speed. Over at AGS, we've had a race win for Alex Rossi. Andre Lotterer was, a win for Lotterer, I should say. Rossi was leading up until that point, so they have had a good start. There's a new driver in BMS Scuderia Italia, and that is James Courtney. The Australian replaces Stefano Modena, and of course qualifies based on the fact that he was the Jaguar test driver back in 2002. Taki Inui scored twice. Jean-Denis Delatraz has yet to do so for the Shannon 40 core squad. At Arrows Grand Prix International, Kamui Kobayashi was the winner at Kyalami. Nico Hulkenberg has been at the front in qualifying, but has had no luck in terms of race finishes so far. And Minardi have had Marc Genet on the podium and Anthony Davidson in the top 5 over the course of the first two races. So plenty of great action in front of us with some amazing teams and some amazing drivers. Let's go down to the pit wall and speak to a few of those team managers as they get themselves ready for an absolutely thrilling blast around the Bathurst circuit. Let's talk.
But it's 1 million.
Let's talk first of all. Oh, they're having a bit of a chat. I've gone into the green room at exactly the wrong moment. Let's have a chat actually to Alex Goldschmidt, who is the team boss of Minardi. Alex, it's been a very strong start to the year for Jenny and Davidson, and they've put in a very strong showing so far.
Yeah, definitely. I think one of the biggest surprises for me is how good Anthony's now sort of come good in the second part of, the third round. Second part of qualifying, he got a lot better, and he's up into P16. I know with the fact that times of for show points to go, and we're clearly showing that at Minardi. A little bit more power, little bit more reliability. But I'm really pleased with how the team's worked so far, and looking forward to a great round here at Mount Panorama.
So hopefully there is a strong result for you guys. Good luck, and hopefully another podium for Minardi in the offing. Over to Ryan Ferris of the Onyx squad. You guys have had a brilliant start to the season. There was rumours going around that Bruno Senna's seat wasn't safe, but after Marrakesh and grabbing a podium, I think those rumours are well and truly quashed.
Yeah, he's been doing a really good job, out-qualifying his teammate today, and both cars in the top 10 today. For the first time, both in the last 2 races, both cars have qualified outside the top 10, and then both cars have came along to fight for the front. So it's only looking even better each race, to be honest.
So let's have a look and see how it's going to go. In the Simtech squad, we have Scott Woodwiss. He is leading the way there. For some reason, our race broadcast has seemingly left the Simtech squad out of our role. I'm not quite sure why that's happened, but of course your 2 drivers, Marcus Ericsson and Stoffel van Doorn, the car is fast, and in race trim your guys storm the way through, but the Achilles heel for the team at the moment appears to be qualifying.
Yeah, it's been a tale of 2 sides. I think we recognise we haven't got a qualifying car. I mean, the fact that we're sort of down the second half of the field again is not great, but the performance which they've both shown in the first 2 races, the fact they've been able to push their way through the order, they're 2 young, very talented drivers. We've worked on some reliabilities, I suspect everyone has after the first 2 races. So hopefully that will mean that we can start to regularly get ourselves up there. I genuinely believe that both cars could have finished in the top 10, and Van Dorn was on course for even the top 5, maybe even a podium if he carried on the way he was. But as you say, the car underneath us as a package is decent, it's good. We just need to make sure we're getting to the end of these races and finishing, and just not only getting some points on the board but some money in the bank, so we can continue on improving the reliability, but also as well start to put a little bit more horsepower in the Ilmore engine, because again, that's got potential and it certainly has served us well in the first couple of races. So hopefully Mount Panorama treats us kind this morning.
It's a good strategy. Hopefully it works out for Simtech. Good luck, Scott. Over to Tom Cairns of the Prost team. Now, you've got a team of 2 halves at the moment, because Pedro De La Rosa has been putting in a stunning performance. Jaime Alguersuari's had his moments, but he's really struggled here at Bathurst.
Yeah, well, I'm surprised to be seeing De La Rosa qualify up that high, to be quite honest with you, because I expected Alguersuari to be doing better than De La Rosa, but clearly Pedro's had the upper hand on this one, like he did so in Marrakesh. But at the end of the day, Jake, there's no points for qualifying except for the point for the pole position. There's much more to gain in the race anyway, and I think what's most important is that, considering that both of my drivers have failed to finish in the first 2 races, it's very, very important for budget-wise that we do get both cars to the end of the race. So as long as we get to the end of the race, I'm not too fussed. Just as long as we don't have any mechanical gremlins throughout this one.
Okay, well, good luck to the whole Prost team. Hopefully your prayers will be answered. And finally, we talked to Sam Hall, the manager over at Manor. This is an interesting start to the season, because you guys have definitely had pace. Brendan Hartley almost won at Kyalami, and it was a difficult one at Marrakesh because you guys kind of hit self-destruct. So 2 races and 2 very different forms.
Yeah, we're really not sure what to expect here. I mean, Lucas has qualified P11 with Brendan P14, so qualifying, as seems to be the norm for us at the moment, is not a strong point. And we're right in the middle of that, in the middle of the field, going up to the top of the mountain. So I'm slightly worried about contact, and like Brendan had at the beginning in Morocco. But hopefully we can pull something out of it.
Okay, well, good luck to you guys, and of course to all the other team managers as we get ourselves ready for action here in Bathurst. Good luck to you all. So we're going to have a fantastic look at this Bathurst circuit as we go on a flying lap of the course now, on board with Brendan Hartley. So this is the man himself as he takes himself around this Mount Panorama circuit. Here we go into that first corner, and it's a very tight left-hander, of course. Now you go down this long straight up towards the second corner, and this is where we're going to see hopefully quite a lot of overtaking as drivers use the slipstream as they go up to the first part of the climb of the mountain. It's going to be a really exciting battle here in this race. Through that right-hander, you get very close to the curb and then hang the car out to the left-hand side. Now you tuck in up alongside the wall for this very tight hairpin through the left-hander and then back up the climb. This is when you really start the climb up Mount Panorama itself. Through the right-hander, a quick flick, and then you need to just a little deceleration perhaps, but then you hold it through the curbs. This is where drivers will start to battle wheel to wheel, and you'll get a few driver errors as they come through this pair of flat-out left-hand sweepers. And in these cars, they've got enough downforce to make it flat out. Then into the very tight, twisty section as you drop back down through the right, through the left, and then it is another right, left as you come through this pair of chicanes. And then as you go down the drop, this is where the car really starts to struggle to hold the grip. Then you come into this tight right-hander and down the drop. This is where you're really trying to get the car stopped. And then through that tight left-hand hairpin and back on the power once again. Now you're on the throttle for a very long time. Over 12 seconds on the throttle here as you get up to the top speed of the cars. And this is where slipstream is definitely going to come into play. And we'll see quite a few overtaking moves into the Ford chicane coming up. They come back up a steep climb, but they're still hard on the throttle. This is where it's going to be very tough on engines, and they've got 50 laps of this circuit to go through through the race, in through the left, in through the right, over the curb and under the Dunlop bridge, and then they come into that final turn where we should see a couple of overtaking moves again through the course of the race, into that final corner, and then back over the start, finish straight. A very exciting racing prospect then. So let's talk you through the starting grid here at Mount Panorama. It's pole position for Jean-Eric Vergne in the BAR. His teammate Sebastian Buemi is alongside him. And then it is Alex Rossi in the AGS and Nico Hulkenberg on row 2 from Andre Lotterer and Timo Glock in P6. Then Kamui Kobayashi, winner in Kyalami, alongside Bruno Senna, podium last time out. Sebastian Bourdais and Paul Di Resta round out the top 10. Then it's Lucas Di Grassi and Pedro Della Rosa from Marc Genet and Brendan Hartley. And then we have Enrique Bernaldi and Anthony Davidson who line up on row 8. Nick Heidfeld is way down in P17 alongside Marcus Ericsson. New boy James Courtney lines up on row 10 alongside Stoffel Van Dorn. Out qualifying his teammate Gabriele Tarquini and Jaime Alguersuari down in 22nd from Susie Wolf and Luciano Berti, with the grid rounded out by the 240s of Taki Inui and Jean-Denis Delatraz. Hang on to your hats, ladies and gentlemen. The Grand Prix of New South Wales here at Mount Panorama, Bathurst, is about to get underway. Well, the time of waiting is no longer here. We are about to go racing here at Mount Panorama, and it is going to be an absolute thriller of a race. Jean-Eric Vergne in pole position from Buemi, Rossi, Hulkenberg and Lotterer. The Minecraft of motorsport is about to get underway once again as we enjoy thrilling action. Here we go! A cracking start from Vergne, and he has absolutely launched it. Hulkenberg's got a good start as well. And up to the first corner, he's going to make it into second place. Cracking start from the Arrows as the field shuffles its way in through that tight first corner. Not a reasonably good start from the Simtex. Marcus Ericsson having a little bit of an issue there. Looks like Alguersuari's got a horrible start in the back of the grid there and lost out some ground. But now the Simtex are going to work, taking on Susie Wolf down the long straight as they come up to the first corner. And that looked like Rossi on the inside of Buemi to fend off the position there for P3. So already an absolute cracker of a start. Jean-Eric Vergne leads the way in the BAR. Up the hill, then it's Nico Hulkenberg in second place. Rossi is third from Buemi and Kobayashi. That looks like one of the Onyxes there in sixth position as we ride on board with Timo Glock. Looking in front of us, that's Andre Lotterer in the AGS. Through the sweepers. An absolutely cracking racetrack this. It's never hosted a Grand Prix, certainly in the modern era. And this is going to be an absolute thrill ride. So Vergne, Hulkenberg, Rossi, Buemi, Kobayashi, and Jean-Eric Vergne in the BAR leads the way, and look how quickly he's pulling away a gap to Nico Hulkenberg. He got an absolutely perfect start. He's determined. He wants to win this one. And down the hill they come into that long sweeping flow through the left-hander and back on the power once again. So Jean-Eric Vergne leads the way here as they go down the straight for the first of 50 laps of racing. And Hulkenberg is already 2 seconds back. This is a dominant start. Here comes Rossi, but look, Buemi's going to come up his inside line. So Buemi's going to try and move up into third position. We did say that there's going to be a lot of overtaking action down these long straights. And Buemi is only just going to be able to slot through past Rossi. No, he's not. Rossi chops back across on him. So Rossi holds him at bay, and that's for third position. Thrilling racing is always guaranteed in the Downforce Grand Prix World Series, and Kobayashi swarming around behind these two as they continue to squabble. And in sixth position, that is one of the Onyxes. I think it's Bruno Senna. No, it's Bourdais. Senna's had a horrific start, and here comes Della Rosa. He now makes the bid on the inside of Bernaldi. Bernaldi doesn't see him, and they just about get away from each other, but that was very close indeed. So now Della Rosa sizes up Bernaldi again, and down the straight. This time he's got him on the slipstream, and surely Della Rosa is going to go through as Kobayashi battles his way through past Bourdais to fend off the position in the top 10 as well. So Della Rosa through past Bernaldi, and that's for 9th position and 10th. Then in 11th position, as we ride on board with Bernaldi, is Di Resta, then Senna, Di Grassi, Jenny and Heidfeld. Oh, there goes the move from Di Resta. So Di Resta gets through on Enrique Bernaldi and gets into the top 10. Then Senna, Di Grassi, Jenny, Heidfeld, Davidson, Hartley, Wolf, Van Dorn and Courtney. And then it is Alguersuari and Ericsson from Berti, Tarquini, Delatraz in front of Inouye. And then it's Nico Hulkenberg in second place in the arrows that we're watching. A very good start indeed from Nico Hulkenberg to get himself into second place right from the get-go. And we are on lap 2 of this 50-lap race. It's a long lap and it's a long race. So this is going to be a tough one for all the cars to hang on to each other. But they have had upgrades in place since the second race. They're only allowed to do it every 2 races. And obviously they take the prize money from each of the races that has come before it. So Jean-Eric Verne and the BAR absolutely storming, and Buemi's going to get mugged here if he's not careful, because here comes Kobayashi and he's trying to swarm around, trying to have a look at Rossi while also defending from Kobayashi. He's had to back off, and surely Kobayashi's going to take advantage, and he does. Kobayashi through in a 4th position. Good move from the arrows. Now it's Lotterer. He's going to try and take on Buemi. Andre Lotterer, the man who won last time out at Marrakesh, he's in P6 at the moment as Jean-Eric Verne is just storming away. He really seems to have the look, and Kobayashi's going to make the move up the inside of Rossi for 3rd as Lotterer gets up the inside of Buemi for 5th. So Kobayashi's had a brilliant run. The arrows now up in a 3rd position. Brilliant overtaking. Here comes Bourdais on Buemi. Up the inside. This is going to be a very tough task for edited highlights because there's so many of them. And up the inside comes Bourdais. He gets into P6 in the Onyx. Nice bit of overtaking for the Frenchman. So Verne, Hulkenberg, Kobayashi, Lotterer, Rossi, Verne. And this is a really exciting race now as we got the 2 arrows trying to give chase to Jean-Eric Verne in the BAR. Now if they can work together and kind of ease each other further forward, then this is going to be a really strong battle. But Hulkenberg has had absolutely no good luck in the race season so far. 2 DNFs from his first 2 races, while Kobayashi took the victory at Kyalami. Bourdais getting very brave on Rossi. Even he can't make an overtaking move as good as that. He had to bail out of it. So Rossi still hanging on then in front of Sebastian Bourdais as they come through the S's, down the drop of the mountain and up towards the left-hander. Kobayashi's caught up to teammate Hulkenberg. He doesn't want to settle for second best in this squad. And Hulkenberg is about to see his teammate storm by, surely. We watch to the right-hand side. And is his Japanese teammate there? I think Kobayashi's going to try and squeeze through. Either that or they're using the old karting tactic and working together. No, he went the other way. Kobayashi went to the left-hand side. So he gets through and into second place. And an absolutely brilliant start to the season. Kamui Kobayashi and Jean-Eric Verne out in front. So Bourdais in 6th place behind Rossi. If he gets a good exit out of this final turn, he's got a good opportunity. And he is definitely in the slipstream. This could be the opportunity to get into 5th position. He's going to commit to the move and Bourdais through. So Bourdais in the Onyx now gets up into P5. There's Andre Lotterer. He's in 3rd now. So he manages to get past Hulkenberg as well. As Della Rosa is battling away there with the Super Aguri of Timo Glock. And the manner of Di Grassi is behind all this. Buemi trying to get back on the inside of Rossi. And has done it. Overtaking galore around this circuit. As Kobayashi runs in 2nd place. And again, now Della Rosa going to try and make the move on the inside. Up at a P6. This is fantastic racing. So many overtakes here at Bathurst. We thought it was going to be a thrilling race. And we were not disappointed. So Kobayashi running a very good race at the moment. He's there in 2nd position in the arrows in front of Lotterer, who again has got himself into a decent position there in P3. And there's no retirement so far, so in the early stages, it's actually a much stronger race of attrition than we've seen before. But then the teams have definitely gone away and done their homework, ready for this encounter. And they wanted to be absolutely on their A game. They now know what to expect from this series, so all the teams have done their homework in readiness for Bathurst and the Grand Prix of New South Wales. So Verne, Kobayashi, Lotterer, Hulkenberg, Bourdais, Buemi, De La Rosa. But that's going to change because De La Rosa's already side by side with Buemi. It's a drag race down to the braking zone. Rossi's got Glock with him and Degrassi's got the rest with him. This is absolutely brilliant. This is the thrill race we wanted to see. And Timo Glock trying to get on the inside there. Can't make the move. He has to back out of it. But if anyone decelerates on that straight... Oh, Van Dorn! Not again. The Simtech package is fast but not reliable. And Stoffel Van Dorn is coming to a stop. Now, what is the reason? Electrical problems. They've had issues with that so far this season a few times, but it's devastatingly bad luck for Stoffel Van Dorn. Third race in a row with a mechanical failure. And unfortunately, Stoffel Van Dorn is creeping to a standstill. Well, if he could just make it, I was going to say if he could just make it back to the pits because he wasn't far away from it, but on this occasion, it's not to be. As on this occasion, Jean-Denis Delatraz is actually going quicker than Taki Inui. So the 40s are having a race against themselves at the moment. But this is very exciting stuff. Van Dorn's car being rescued as Jean-Eric Verne continues out in front for BAR. Kobayashi second, Lotterer third, Bourdais fourth and Hulkenberg in fifth. Then in sixth position, it is De La Rosa in front of Buemi, Glock, Degrassi and Rossi. You do get the sense with the Simtech package, though, they've got two very quick drivers on board there with Van Dorn and Ericsson. They've not had the luck in racing. They've not had the luck at all so far. And all it's going to take is a circuit that suits that car, and they are going to be up at the front end of the field without any issue at all. But it's so close that even the upgrades that these guys are making, it's always going to be very difficult. They've just had no luck at all. And usually you get one or two teams that are in that same boat. Prost know exactly how that feels as well, with Tom Cairns, their team principal, having had the same amount of bad luck, really, as Simtech. Oh, and that's one of the Manners in trouble. That's one of the Manners in trouble. A puff of smoke out of the back there. Couldn't see who it was as Glock is having an amazing race further back. Who is it that's in trouble? There's going to be a puff of smoke over the top of the hill. Unless the car isn't even going to make it. Yeah, it's Brendan Hartley. Brendan Hartley in trouble. Oh, well, at least it's not just one car, one team that's in trouble. Unfortunately, a big problem with Brendan Hartley. Now, is he going to be able to get that back to the pits? He's trying his best to keep it going, but he's not even going to make it that far. The car just suddenly dies, and he's not even going to make it back to the pits. There's no point even trying to come into the pits. He's going to stop by a marshal post. Brendan Hartley out of the race. Well, he's definitely left an awful lot of water on that part of the circuit. Now, that's going to be a problem for people. So that last corner could end up seeing a few people come off the circuit. And Brendan Hartley, sadly, joins the retirement list. What a shame. So the Manor is out. And that is now two retirements. First Stoffel Van Dorn, then Brendan Hartley. So two retirements from the race here at Bathurst in the Downforce Grand Prix World Series. Kobayashi still second in front of Lotterer. Then Bourdais, De La Rosa up to fifth. And Hulkenberg's incredible start. Oh, Verne! Goodness me, Jean-Eric Verne nearly loses it. Well, even the leader is not immune to mistakes. But that was a sweating moment there for Tom Butterworth. His driver very nearly binned it into the wall. And that's how easy it is to make those mistakes. So he comes down the main straight there, down the Conrad straight. And Kamui Kobayashi running in second with Lotterer in third. Then it's Bourdais and De La Rosa. Hulkenberg, who had an amazing start, is now down to sixth in front of Buemi. Here comes Degrassi, though. Degrassi's going to make a move on Buemi. He's going to try to commit to the inside line. The trouble is, it's such a long straight, even in the slipstream. Once you come over the hill, all it takes is a little bit of a crosswind and it ruins the moment. And it hasn't quite got the top end speed to compete with the play life. Bernaldi up the inside, though. Bernaldi's got the move done there on one of the Minardis. I think that's Davidson he's just got past. Indeed it is, as Jene makes the move on the inside of De Resta, and he gets through into 11th. Degrassi's having another crack at Buemi. And can he get through this time? Yes, he does. So Degrassi through, past Buemi. And next up is going to be the Super Aguri. That's Timo Glock. So Glock is going to be next in line. And here comes Marc Genet. He's picking him off like raisins right now as he comes up the hill. And he's going to go side by side with Alex Rossi in the AGS as up the inside of Buemi goes Glock. So Glock looks like he's got through there into third position. Truly brilliant racing here at Bathurst as the drivers continue on their way. Here's James Courtney on his debut. in Grand Prix racing of any kind. And he tries to get up the inside of the Onyx of Senna. And it's not quite worked out at all there. But James Courtney still pushing on in his Grand Prix debut. As Jean-Eric Verne leads the way in the BAR Play Life. Out of the turn and down the Conrad Straight. So a really good run this for Verne. Here's Genet. He's about to lose out to Benaldi. No, he's not. Marc Genet shuts the door. So no major problems on that particular front. But this is going to be a tough one. And the next round of the championship, of course, will see them hop over the border. Hop across the water a little bit to Taupo in New Zealand. Venue for the A1 Grand Prix World Series a few years ago. But Andre Lotterer in third position, chasing down Kamui Kobayashi. A very good run so far. As Alexander Rossi is having to really hang on there from Marc Genet. Genet's going to have another go. Side by side several times down the back straight. This is absolutely thrilling stuff. Kamui Kobayashi running in second. Here comes Bruno Senna about to lose out to Courtney. But Courtney's going well. Kamui Kobayashi going through that first corner. Under some pressure from Andre Lotterer. Our race directors being very frivolous with all of the cars through the field. So now we've got Verne and Kobayashi out in front from Lotterer, Bourdais and Della Rosa. And that is 5 different teams in the top 5 places. In fact, make it 6 when you count Di Grassi. Alex Rossi has now slipped out of the points and he's got Di Resta in the Lola trying to come through. Tucks back out of the slipstream and we got Benaldi there in the mix as well trying to come through. Di Resta though does get into 11th place past Rossi. Some amazing overtaking moves in the field and Benaldi's now going to try and get the move on the inside of Rossi. I wonder if Rossi's got a problem developing because that is a very tired looking AGS. In through the sweep as they go and Kamui Kobayashi going down through the drop on the other side of the mountain. A very long race ahead of us. James Courtney running in 16th. He's the leading driver in that team now, having replaced Stefano Modena. So really exciting battle. Jean-Eric Verne running well. But there is your man Marc Genet all over the back of Buemi. This is on board with Andre Lotterer in the AGS Mugen. Along the straight. They seem to have engineered the car slightly better than Super Aguri have with their Mugen. And we've been trying to compile the lists of teams that will be racing in other disciplines of the Retro Racing League. Along the straight comes Marc Genet, going wheel to wheel with Sebastian Buemi. Di Resta is in behind. And here comes Benaldi. Benaldi trying to have a look on the inside. Is he going to get his move on the inside line? Oh, not quite. Well defended by Rossi. So Alexander Rossi continues in his position, but surely it's not going to be long before he loses the place as we watch the race leader, Jean-Eric Verne. So he is out in front, and you can see in the top left-hand corner of your screen the running order through the remaining positions. Jenny and Benaldi still battling over that 11th place, and Benaldi has now got through past Rossi, who is down to 13th in front of Davidson and Heidfeld. Then it is James Courtney in front of Susie Wolf and Jaime Alguersuari. There is Alguersuari making the move on Susie Wolf. Behind this is Bruno Senna all the way down to 19th and Luciano Berti. And then we have Marcus Ericsson up to 21st, having passed Gabriele Tarquini. Then it's Delatraz and Anui. But Kamui Kobayashi still holds second. The 2 retirements are Brendan Hartley and Stoffel Van Dorn. And we're on lap 9 out of 50. Not going to be too long before we get to see a couple more of the drivers up at the front end of the field. But this is getting to be a very ferocious race. Marc Genet all over the back of Sebastian Buemi, wanting to put the Minardi back into the points. They scored in both races. Marc Genet actually scored a second place finish at Marrakesh. But today, it's going to look like a very tough race to get him there. So let's see how he goes. Jean-Eric Verne running well out in front here at Bathurst. And it looks as though the teams have all gone very conservative in terms of their setups because they want to get to the end of the race. We could see a lot of finishes this time. Marc Genet up alongside. Can't get through. Can't get through on Sebastian Buemi. He has to back off the throttle. He uses the slipstream again. Has he got enough alongside? No, he can't quite make the move. So just to give you an idea of the kind of leagues we're talking about, the first of them that we're going to run for anybody to compete in. It's not just going to be the Downforce Racing staff. Anyone is allowed to compete, and it's a first-come, first-served basis to reserve a team, and it's for the Group C Challenge. We have 26 teams available, 2 racing grids, So there could well be 2 race grids of Group C sports cars that we'll go racing with next time. Whoops, and up the inside. Oh, Heidfeld's going to run deep. Thought he was going to lose the place there to James Courtney, and he's got Wolf and Alguersuari very much on his tail. So here comes Susie Wolf up alongside James Courtney. Just at the wrong moment, we come across to Andre Lotterer, and he's chasing this man, Kamui Kobayashi. So Verne leads, Kobayashi second, Lotterer third from Bourdais and De La Rosa. In the Downforce Grand Prix World Series, the rules are simple. Pick a team that no longer races in F1, that never won a race. Pick an engine that no longer races in F1. Pick 2 drivers that never won a Formula 1 Grand Prix but have been involved in Formula 1 as a driver. So we've got 2 test drivers and 24 race drivers from the past. Jean-Eric Verne leads the way from Kamui Kobayashi and Andre Lotterer. Sebastian Bourdais is 4th for Onyx. Then De La Rosa, De Grassi, Glock, De Resta, Hulkenberg and Genet. We're watching Anthony Davidson as he chases after Alex Rossi. They're behind Benaldi and Buemi as they fight for 13th and 14th. Then Heidfeld in 15th place, James Courtney. And then it is Susie Wolf in front of Alguersuari, Senna and Bertie. Then it's Ericsson, Tarquini, Delatraz and Inouye. And the 2 retirements are Brendan Hartley and Stoffel Van Dorn. Very bad luck for both men who have not had a single race finish so far this year. Neither driver has scored points, despite the fact that both have had a great opportunity to at least be on the podium, if not a race win. Davidson again battling away down the Conrad Straight as he chases after Alex Rossi. This is his teammate Andre Lotterer in the other AGS, and he has reined in on Kamui Kobayashi's parade. Now, I want to have a look at fuel loads at this point so we can kind of gauge what the strategy is. It looks as though pretty much everybody is just going to be on a one-stop strategy. Taki Inouye and the 40 team have decided that they're not going to make a single pit stop. Now, that could be interesting. Taki Inouye, if they keep the car together, could make it all the way through the race. Tarquini's gone for the long stop as well. You can see there how many fuel laps he's got on board. He might go through the race without a single pit stop. It's 90s rules. Marcus Ericsson has as well. Now, that's fascinating because the Simtech, now knowing that they can go for the entire race without a pit stop, he could make up some big positions here through the pit stops. Bruno Senna likewise in the Onyx. That's why he's tumbling down the order then, because he's got a heavy fuel load on that car. In fact, any of the cars that are dropping back might have decided to go through this 50-lap race without a pit stop. It's risky and it's definitely not as fast, but some teams have opted to do so. And Alex Rossi has done so. That's why he's tumbling through the field. I would imagine a few others have. Buemi is going backwards through the field. That's why, because he's not going to make a pit stop. His teammate is. And Nico Hulkenberg, similar. That's why they're tumbling through the field, because they're going for a no-stop strategy compared to a one-stop strategy. But it's a very long race, so that is risky. But some have decided to be a bit of a gambler and have decided to go for it. Nobody currently in the top 10, I should point out, has opted to do so. So that is a bit of a fascinating draw in terms of the pit stop strategies. We're on lap 12 now. We're going to join the team managers at about half distance on the pit wall, and we'll figure out how racing has gone for them, because we only have a handful of them for this particular race. The others are obviously working very hard on strategy, and they don't want to give away too much. Kamui Kobayashi in second at the moment. Here's Benaldi. He's going to make the move on the inside of the arrows and gets through in Hulkenberg. And that means now that nobody in the top 10 is on a no-stop strategy. But there are a handful of drivers who've decided it might actually be quicker here at Bathurst to go for no stops at all, especially if in the second half of the race, some cars are going to start to struggle to get to the finish of the race. So Alguersuari making his bid on the Super Aguri. And around the outside, he gets there before the braking zone. So that's enough for Alguersuari to get through. An absolutely fascinating battle at the moment. So really exciting. Oh, and Alguersuari getting a little bit held up there as he continues his battle with Rossi and Heidfeld. So it's going to be a very exciting run. And still we're waiting to see if there's going to be any more major dramas in this race. But a lot of them look like they're going to make it to the finish. Now, of course, the more finishes there are in a race, the better that is for teams, because they actually score, they earn more money for finishing a race than they do for retiring it. They earn nothing if they retire from a race. They get £50,000 to spend on their car if they get to the finish. In the points, you get a lot more than that, obviously. So the rules are very simple, and we will put out a video we'll create for the Group C Challenge so you can get an idea as to how it can run. But all the big Group C names will be there. Oh, Timo Glock messing up a little bit in the chicane, and that could have been very nasty indeed. So he ends up going a little bit sideways, manages to get the car together. Doesn't look like a lot of water has gone down in the end where Brendan Hartley went off the circuit. Interestingly, they come off the racing line a little bit there, or certainly they come off the natural racing line on the main straight. They go a little out to the left, and then they go back in again. I wonder if there was some oil put down there earlier in the weekend, and now they're having to change their driving style a little bit to cope with it. As Davidson gets up the inside and into 12th position past Sebastian Buemi. That no-stop strategy is definitely a big gamble. And we're seeing several cars tumble down the order, including Rossi, Senna, Buemi, Ericsson, Tarquini and Inouye. And that's why they're slower, because they've decided they're not going to make a pit stop if they can help it. So there are some proper gamblers on this grid. Now, will Marcus Ericsson's gamble pay off at the back of the field? Will the Nico Hulkenberg strategy pay off? Because he's out of the top 10 now after an incredible start, but a very heavy car around this circuit. I guess it all very much depends on how much time is gained by deciding to go for one stop. But clearly the drivers feel that there is a reason to go for no stops at all. So Lotterer in behind Kobayashi. A long battle down that straight as Kamui Kobayashi holds on to second place. I'm very impressed that there's not as many retirements as they were. The reliability upgrades have definitely helped to a certain degree. But I think we're going to go through this race with a few more retirements yet. We're into lap 14 and Verne is your leader from Kobayashi and Lotterer. Bourdais is fourth from De La Rosa. Here's Davidson making his bid on Hulkenberg. And the car is just so much faster with a light fuel load. But they are going to need to make another pit stop. And Hulkenberg will not need to make one. So it's all going to depend on how much time he loses through the race, essentially, to see if this pit stop strategy works. It's a brave gamble, but in this series, you have no idea what's going to happen. So it's very interesting to see how it's going to work. Heidfeld swarming all over the back of the very slow Alex Rossi, but the reason he's slow is because he's going to try and go for the entirety of the race without a pit stop. So up the inside goes Heidfeld. It's an easy overtake in the end. But that's because the strategy is going to come into play later in the race. Here comes Bertie. He's going to get the run now on Rossi. Unbelievable when you think that Rossi was at one stage in the top 10. And now he's just tumbling down the order. It was a bold gamble. And only a handful of drivers have done it. Not even whole teams have done it. But Kobayashi is your leader. Lotterer in third position. Kobayashi is second, I should say, behind Verne. As up the inside goes Bernaldi. That's Bertie, isn't it? Bertie's got through now past Rossi. Rossi trying to come back around the outside to reclaim the place, but it's not going to happen. Here is Jean-Eric Verne. That brilliant zip livery on the BAR. Half of it is blue and yellow. The other half is red, white and black. And it's a very stonking, striking livery. But Jean-Eric Verne is leading the way by 9 seconds to Kamui Kobayashi and Andre Lotterer. He goes into lap 15 out of 50. At about the lap 25 mark, we'll go down to the pit crews in pit lane. And we will continue racing up until lap 50, the final lap. And then we will see how the managers react to what's going on. James Courtney trying to get through. What a great debut this is for James Courtney. He hasn't driven a Grand Prix car since 2002 when he had that horrific accident in testing at Monza. And he was very lucky to get out of it in one piece. But Adam Weller, team boss at Scuderia Italia, decided to give him a try. And on the home soil, a circuit he knows very well, of course, he's able to find grip where others are not. And James Courtney has a great chance of giving the BMS Italia team their first point. He's going to have a go at the very heavy fuel-loaded Buemi and go for the move to get through as we ride on board with Kobayashi. Did Courtney get through? He did. So Courtney is up into 13th place. What a debut for the Oz. Well, he is one of only, I think, 2 Australians in the field. We certainly have a Kiwi in the field. In fact, I think, I'm just trying to scroll through. I think James Courtney might be the only Australian in the field on his home turf. Indeed he is. So a fabulous start to his career in Grand Prix racing in the Downforce Grand Prix World Series. And down the straight comes Andre Lotterer as he charges after Kamui Kobayashi. Our virtual management league, our third ever race, with several leagues planned. We have big plans and big ideas for other leagues, including Group C, IndyCar racing in the Indy Racing League, so only on ovals. champ cars on street circuits and road courses. We'll do an Indy 500. We're thinking about a Le Mans 24 hours. We're not entirely sure how we'd go about it. We think what we'd probably do is an aggregate of the maximum amount of laps possible on the Le Mans circuit. You'll have to use your imaginations for the 24 hour. But we'll have a GT class. We'll have a prototype class. It's going to be a bit of a retro Le Mans race, of course. It's all retro racing. It's all vintage racing from the past. But here we go. Side by side. This is Alguersuari taking on the very heavily fuel-loaded Buemi. Over the top of the hill. And a very exciting battle. Lotterer still in third position. And running after Kamui Kobayashi at the present moment. In second place, Jean-Eric Verne is leading the way from Kobayashi, Lotterer, Bourdais and De La Rosa. This is Alguersuari trying to get past a very heavy fuel-loaded Sebastian Buemi. A handful of drivers deciding to gamble before the start of the race not to pit in at all. They just decided to fill the fuel tank to the brim and hope it's going to work. Buemi down to 15th though as a result. So it's going to be a long game that they're playing. And a fascinating race so far. And incredibly, considering what happened in the first two races, only 2 retirements thus far. Stoffel Van Dorn and Brendan Hartley. So an incredible run for all of the rest of the cars. And a sign that their reliability upgrades on the whole are definitely paying dividends. But certainly for Hartley at Manor and Van Dorn at Simtech, it's not gone the way they wanted. So they are now spectators on the sidelines. But what this does show is that there is positivity up and down the grid for everyone else as they are starting to make progress. And of course, there is still one Manor and one Simtech still going. But Kamui Kobayashi still running in second place, chasing after teammate, chasing after the race leader, Jean-Eric Verne. Here's Susie Wolf. Whoops, it easy, Susie. Well, she managed to get away without hitting the wall there. That was very close indeed. De Grassi leads, though, from Glock, De Resta, Jenny and Bernaldi. Then Davidson, Hulkenberg, Courtney and Alguersuari. Then it's Buemi in 15th. James Courtney has brought the BMS Italia up into 13th place. That's the highest they've run all season. Then Heidfeld, Wolf, Bertie, Rossi, Senna, Ericsson, Tarquini, Delatraz and Inui. So the one-stoppers are now pretty much congregating at the back of the field at the moment as Heidfeld has another look at Buemi. Can't get through down the Conrad Straight. But this race could well come to them a little bit later. The only problem, of course, is that the one-stoppers are going to have fresher tyres as well as a lighter fuel load. So this is going to be fascinating. But maybe they think that because the circuit is so narrow in places, there's going to be a better benefit. Here comes Courtney. Up the inside, and what a debut this is for James Courtney, now into 12th position. Adam Weller's tactical management seems to be a stroke of genius right now as he makes the bid for 12th. Of course, it helps that a lot of the cars he's overtaken have been on a very heavy fuel load, but it's certainly his knowledge of the circuit doing very well indeed. So Verne, Kobayashi, Lotterer, Bourdais, De La Rosa. Then in the top 10 behind them, it's De Grassi in 6th. Glock is 7th. De Resta, Jenny and Bernaldi. Then it is Davidson from James Courtney, Jaime Alguersuari, Nico Hulkenberg and Nick Heidfeld. Now, Hulkenberg is the leading driver on no stops at all. He's the heaviest car in the field. Well, the first of the heavy cars, I should say. Then it's Heidfeld in 15th. Wolf, then Buemi, Bertie, Rossi, Senna, Ericsson, Tarquini, Delatraz and Inui. And then Hartley and Van Dorn, of course, are out of the race. So there's a nice little inter-team squabble going on at 40. As those two cars are likely to be duelling right the way to the finish of the race. With Inui trying not to lose too much time to his much lighter teammate's car, Delatraz. Heidfeld now trying to get alongside Hulkenberg down the Conrad Straight. I think he's pulled out of the slipstream a little too early there. He could have taken a couple more milliseconds out of it. And indeed, he has to hang back. So Verne is your leader on lap 18. Oh, Taki Inui made a bit of a mistake there on the hill. And now Verne is going to make mincemeat of him around the sweepers. This is the first real challenge in the race for Jean-Eric Verne to try and lap a rather sluggish Taki Inui. He's got to commit to it. And round the outside, Verne deals with him. That was absolutely brilliant from Jean-Eric Verne. He would dearly love to win his first Grand Prix. He's been a Formula E title winner. And he's on course to do it at the moment. Susie Wolf is now the latest driver to go after Nico Hulkenberg. So Hulkenberg is going to lose ground here on the straight. Wolf is going to try and come around the outside. Can she hold it? Oh, she doesn't quite have the same horsepower in that car as the Mugen in the Arrows. But Vern is keeping that 9-second gap pretty much to Kobayashi. He's not really pushing too hard. He doesn't need to extend the gap. He just needs to control the pace. And that's where he's looking very strong at the moment. So Vern, Kobayashi, Lotterer, Bourdais, De La Rosa. And then in 6th is Degrassi, Glock, De Resta, Jenny and Bernaldi rounding out the top 10. That's the point scorers at the moment. A lot of racers behind, still running though. Davidson, Courtney, Alguersuari and Heidfeld. Then it is Susie Wolf from Hulkenberg, Buemi, Bertie, Rossi and Senna. And then Ericsson, Tarquini, Delatraz and Inui with the 2 retirements, Hartley and Van Dorn. Now, fascinating that the cars are lasting longer than I think anybody expected here at Bathurst. But it shows that everybody in terms of setup has gone for a much more conservative approach. So Lotterer running well in 3rd. In through the right-hander and climbing up the mountain. Looks like a lot of prize money for a lot of teams out there. Well, pretty much everybody should get something from this race. Because they're all going to get a little bit of starting money. You obviously get £50,000 of starting money for each car that contests for each race. And then 50,000 for every finisher. 100,000 is the minimum for a point scorer, 10th position, right the way up to $1 million scored by the person who wins the race. Jaime Alguersuari down the straight and running very well indeed here alongside James Courtney, I think that is, trying to get through on the inside, and indeed he does. Lotterer running well in 3rd still, chasing after Kobayashi. So no major concerns at the moment in the field. As Alguersuari gets into 12th past Courtney, those two battling away. There's Kobayashi lapping the 40 of Taki Inui, who is down at the back behind his teammate Jean-Denis Delatraz, but that is largely due to the fact Taki Inui's going to have another go at the 40 at the Arrows. What is he playing at? Taki Inui's been lapped and he thinks, no, I've got the slipstream, I'm going to get back on front of you. Well done to Taki Inui. He absolutely gives it 10 tenths every single time. He's one of our favourite drivers in the field. Here comes Lotterer to lap him. And he should get by fairly easily into 3rd place. But watch, Taki Inui is going to have the slipstream. And he's going to try and get back on terms. He'll never get there. But fair play to Taki Inui for giving it a go anyway. You got to love him. He's one of the most beloved characters in this field. And it's great to see him back in a Grand Prix car, really enjoying himself. So Andre Lotterer up the hill behind Kamui Kobayashi. Jean-Eric Verne is your race leader though, 9 seconds up the road. Kobayashi, Lotterer, and then 11 seconds back behind them is Bourdais in the Onyx, and 5th place for De La Rosa in the Prost. 6th is Degrassi, 7th is Glock, 8th is De Resta, 9th is Jenny, Bernaldi in 10th position, and then Davidson, Alguersuari, Courtney, Heidfeld and Wolf. And then it is Hulkenberg from Buemi, Bertie, Rossi and Senna. And then in 21st is Ericsson in front of Tarquini, Delatraz and Inui. With the retirements, Brendan Hartley and Stoffel Van Dorn. Now we're getting close to the pit stop phase of the race. And this is where things are going to get interesting. Kamui Kobayashi's pit stop is due fairly imminently. Jean-Eric Verne has fueled a little bit further into the race. That's probably why he's not been able to pit it. Now, Bruno Senna is in the pits, and that's why he's got an electrical problem. Because he was not due in the pits at all. So an electrical issue for Bruno Senna means that, well, that's the latest problem to strike. And unfortunately, the Onyx driver is, well, he's already well fueled. Now, what that means, actually, is that, yes, he's had the electrical problem, and yes, he'll fall to the back of the grid. But he will have fresher tyres on board than any of his compatriots. So he's lost a bit of time, but he'll have fresher tyres than any of the other non-stoppers. Now, that could benefit him later in the race. So Bruno Senna, okay, yes, he's had the electrical problem and fallen further back, but let's look at the silver lining. He's going to have a fresh set of tyres now on that car. They may as well put him on a fresh set of boots. So he's going to have better tyres than the likes of Hulkenberg, Ericsson, Tarquini, and all those heavy fuel loaders around him. So Bruno Senna may have a chance to get back into this race later. Verne, Kobayashi, Lotterer. This is Bourdais finally having a crack at De La Rosa. And he's not quite able to go for it. Well, actually, this is retaliation because De La Rosa's finally made the move on Bourdais, in fact. So now De La Rosa is trying to fend off from Bourdais. Bourdais trying to get back up the inside. This is going to be a brave overtaking move. Why did we move away at the wrong moment? Well, Bourdais does get through. I want to have a look at that move again, actually. So let's have a look back at it one more time. This is Bourdais getting his beard to come up the inside of De La Rosa. He threw it up the inside. This is a brave overtake from Sebastian Bourdais, and he does get through. That is a really hard overtaking manoeuvre to pull off. So very well accomplished there from Sebastian Bourdais. He made that one look very, very easy in the end. But De La Rosa is not letting him get away with it. They come through the sweepers. And De La Rosa is working very hard to get back on terms with Sebastian Bourdais. He may have a chance here if he commits to the move up the inside. He's not close enough. Well, he is close enough, but there's not enough room to make that kind of an overtaking move. Andre Lotterer still in third. Bourdais and De La Rosa battling over fourth behind them as Taki Inui is going to get out of the way, and that's going to benefit Bourdais. But the man who's really made a bit of ground from this is Di Grassi. He's now right on the tail of De La Rosa. So De La Rosa back into fifth position again. But Di Grassi has caught them both up as a result of being held up a little by Taki Inui and their own race battle, of course. So a combination of the two factors means they're now back in the action. And Vern sliding through turn one, getting a little bit crossed up. Taki Inui still having a go at the guys that are lapping him. Fair play to Taki Inui. He may be in a slow car, but he still wants to go racing with people. He just wanted to get back in the slipstream of the leaders and try and get back past. You gotta love Taki Inui. We're on lap 22 of 50. Vern is your leader. Kobayashi second from Lotterer, Bourdais and De La Rosa. Sixth position is Di Grassi. Then it's Glock, Di Resta, Jenny and Benaldi in the top 10. Then it's Davidson from Alguersuari, Courtney and Heidfeld. Wolf is next up. Now Bruno Senna having a big battle there. That's with one of the 40s. That's got to be Jean-Denis Delatraz. He's caught up with him. And he's trying to get back into position. 16th is Hulkenberg. He's the leading car of the non-stoppers. Then Bertie. Oh, that's Benaldi. The point for Midland is gone. It was looking good for the Midland team to score a point today. And Ben Johnston will be devastated. So Enrique Benaldi was in the points, looking good. But unfortunately, it is now game over for Enrique Benaldi. They've had no luck at all. So another retirement at Midland. And that's a real shame. They were looking strong for a point, but it's now all gone. So Benaldi is out. And he joins Brendan Hartley, Stoffel Van Dorn on the sidelines. He's the third retirement of the race. And that is devastatingly bad luck for Ben Johnston and the whole Midland team. As that was the car that was looking likely to score a point as Jean-Eric Verne laps Delatraz. And the next car he's going to lap is Bruno Senna. It's not gone well in terms of the strategy for him. And largely because of that electrical failure, of course. They had to bring the car back into the pits to reset it. So cars have not gone completely without incident in this race. Although definitely the attrition rate is less than it has been in Africa for the Racing Kyle Army and at Marrakesh on the streets of Morocco. But Verne is leading the way from Kobayashi, Lotterer and Bourdais. And this is going to be a really exciting run for Di Resta. I think he's managed to get past the 40 of Taki Inui to lap him. The Lola team have been very solid in the first two races of their season. Kind of testimony to the fact that if they'd waited till 1998 to make a debut, maybe they would have made a brilliant car. But both cars have finished in the points on both the first two races. So far so good for young Kai Bacchini, the team boss of MasterCard Lola. This is Kamui Kobayashi. His boss is, of course, Emma Butterworth. And Kamui got a victory in the first round of the championship. So running in second place in front of the guy who won the second race of the championship, Andre Lotterer, means that we could get a third different winner, or we could get a double winner from the third race of the season. That is Nick Heidfeld trying to get through on James Courtney, I think. Trying to get past. Hulkenberg is on the overtaking move on Bertie as the car finally starts to get lighter. Or certainly light enough to start competing with the other drivers. Now, this will be about tyre life for those guys as well. If they've looked after the tyres, they've got a good chance. Verne is not due in for the pits yet. I have a feeling Kobayashi's due in. Yes, Kobayashi and Lotterer are both going to pit in together. So here comes Kobayashi into the pits. We'll ride on board with the car as Kobayashi and Lotterer make the first scheduled pit stop of the race. So this will be a very important one for the battle for victory. Kamui Kobayashi will pit in later than Buemi, as too does Lotterer. Now, to get to the end of the race, this needs to be in about the 10-second mark, because it's going to be a heavy fuel load that goes in. And I think they're going to do a reasonably good job of this. 10, 11, 12 seconds. It's a heavy fuel tank. And there is Lotterer out of the pits as well. So it is going to take about a dozen seconds to fill the cars with enough fuel to get to the end of the race. It's a long old circuit this, but look, they get out behind Di Resta, so they do lose a lot of time in the pits. That is why they have decided, some drivers, to only pit once. You do lose a lot of time in the pits to fill the car up to the brim. So Bourdais is second. Third is Di Grassi. Di Grassi's got past Della Rosa. Di Grassi's made the move there on Della Rosa. That's an important one, as Alguersuari is the latest to come into the pits. So these guys are going to lose a good 12 seconds just being stationary in the pit lane. And then they're on a heavy fuel load. So the drivers who have gone for a no-stop strategy might actually have their decision vindicated here. So let's figure out. Look, Kobayashi is in there with Gene and Lotterer. Well, Hulkenberg's lost a lot more time than that. So they're only really going to get a decent points finish if they can get out, or if they can keep their tyres well fresh. But that's going to be heavy. That's going to be heavy tyre wear. It's still not sure. I think it comes down to the attrition as Hulkenberg goes off. Hulkenberg hits the barrier. And that was just driver error from Hulkenberg. He was pushing too hard. So Hulkenberg on the heavy fuel load, now battling away with Buemi. He struck the barrier. He was lucky to escape without damage there. We're on board with Di Grassi as Delatraz pits from 22nd out of 23. Only his teammate Taki Nui is really in the same race as Delatraz. And those two will duel away for the rivalry and the position battle. So Verne, Bourdais, Di Grassi, Della Rosa, Glock. 6th is Di Resta now. 7th Kobayashi from Gene, Lotterer, Davidson and Heidfeld. So points for the non-stoppers are basically all they can hope for if things are the way they are. However, if one of them emerges victorious, that is going to be one heck of an achievement. So Verne is your leader. Bourdais is 25 seconds back. Davidson pits from 10th in the Minardi. So Davidson is the latest to make a pit stop. Verne is going a little deeper into the race. He's on lap 25 out of 50. So this is bang on the half distance mark. Heidfeld is in now from 12th. As we ride on board with Di Grassi. So Di Grassi running well at the moment. And Jean-Denis Delatraz has got one of the AGSs going around the outside to lap. I think that's Lotterer. So Lotterer has gone through and lapped him. And this is going to be a very interesting second half to the race now, as several teams are trying to roll the dice in terms of pit stop strategy. Marc Genet having a decent battle with the arrows of Kamui Kobayashi. Marc Genet is going to be one of the next drivers to pit in. You can see that on the dial of his car. He's got about 5 laps of fuel remaining, so he'll be in within the next 2 laps of racing. They don't want to let it go too far into the race. There's a big risk of too high a fuel depletion. Also, fuel consumption is very high here, so they've got to be very careful that the non-stoppers are actually going to make it to the end of the race. Tarquini has now been passed by Buemi, I think that is, or is that the race leader? It is Verne, my apologies. Verne goes through in the lead of the race to lap, as Bourdais is there in second. Third is Di Grassi. Now, where's Della Rosa? He's going to be in the pits, I'm sure. Indeed he is. Della Rosa is in the pits, so let's join him for the pit stop. Della Rosa in for P4. Now, a dozen seconds is about how much it takes to fill this car to the end of the race. It's a lot of fuel going in. You've got to remember, it's a long circuit here, and it's a long race. This is going to be an hour and a half behind the wheel. And again, 11.4, so a better stop. Di Resta's in the pits as well. We're not going to get to see the time of his pit stop, unfortunately, but he's in the pits as well, the Lola. So that's going to see him out on circuit once more. There is your leader, though, Jean-Eric Verne. He leads the way, and he's lapping back Marcus. He's lapping Marcus Ericsson in the Simtech. Not a good start to the season for Marcus Ericsson. If they can get it together for Taupo, though, they've got a good chance to get it back together. So Bourdais is your leader. Di Grassi third. Bourdais second, then Di Grassi third. Glock Kobayashi in 5th position through the pit stops. Then it's Gene, Lotterer, Della Rosa, Di Resta, and James Courtney now in the points. Can he stay there? Wolf, Bertie, Davidson and Buemi. Then Hulkenberg, Rossi and Alguersuari. This is Bertie battling away with Davidson. Davidson up the inside, and he's through. So Davidson gets the move there on Luciano Bertie. Ericsson is 19th. He's been lapped by the leader, but that doesn't mean he won't get a point. He did at Marrakesh, don't forget. We're on lap 27. And that is Degrassi going wheel to wheel with Bourdais for second, and Degrassi gets there. They nearly banged wheels, and Degrassi gets through in a second place. Good bit of driving from the Manor, but both drivers are going to be due into the pits before long. In fact, I think Degrassi's gone for the move and gone straight into the pits. I want to double check. Yes, indeed. He made the overtaking move and has pitted straight in. So he's basically showing off out there. Now let's see what sort of a pit stop he gets. If he can get anything in the 11-second bracket, he's got a good chance. So it's pit stop frenzy here at Bathurst. Degrassi falls out of the top 5. But that's not a bad start. Oh, but he's had to wait. He's had to wait for Marc Genet. He's had to wait for Marc Genet coming into the pits. They had to hold him a second or two longer. So that's not good for Degrassi. It's great news for Bourdais. But Genet's having a good stop by the look of it. The later they leave it, the later they have to stay in the pits. That's the thing. 11 seconds from Minardi. Good pit stop from them. And De Resta's out. And De La Rosa's out. It's all happening here. De La Rosa's had a problem. He's got a water leak, so De La Rosa's out of it. And De Resta's had an electrical fault and spun at the chicane. So De Resta out and De La Rosa out at exactly the same time as each other. Devastation for Prost. Devastation for Lola. Wow, De La Rosa was running beautifully up until that point, as was the Lola of Paul Di Resta. And that is actually the first retirement for a Lola this season. So Paul Di Resta out of the race. And that's his first retirement of the year. De La Rosa out as well. It's definitely not his first retirement. So now we're in the second half of the race. It's going to start taking its toll, this race, on our teams and drivers. But De La Rosa and Di Resta out at the same time. So what an opportune moment this is now to go down to the pit wall and have a word with our team managers who are sweating cobs as Vern comes into the pits from the race lead. Now that's going to give the lead to Bourdais. So Bourdais going a little bit further into the race. Bourdais going to take the lead. Or is he actually? Because I think Vern is too far ahead to lose the lead to Bourdais. In fact, Bourdais comes into the pits now himself. So Vern is going to get in and out without losing his lead. Well, we'll go down to the pit lane and speak to the managers on the pit wall. So let's have a word.
Facebook message then.
Right, let's have a word with Alex Goldschmidt. Alex, an interesting race so far. Big gambles from team strategists. You guys decided to go for a one-stop strategy. How are things currently looking?
Yeah, it is.
Well, we've lost the word with our team managers there. Let's have another go. Alex Goldschmidt for the Minardi team. An interesting race for you guys at the moment. Let's see how things are currently going. But Genet looking good for points. Davidson not far away from it.
Yeah, we're just... I think we've got everything crossed, Jake, to be honest. But we'll see what happens. I mean, this is a very demanding circuit, you know, with the gradients. And then when they fully extend it, you know, foot to the floor, down Conrad Straight, it's going to be a tough test for the engine because that's when they're at the throttle. But yeah, we just hope we just start on a wing and a prayer at the moment, hoping that we get both cars to the end of it.
Fair play, thanks very much. Let's talk to Ryan Ferris of the Onyx team. Bourdais still with a good chance of a decent finish here. Bruno Senna opted to go for the full race without a pit stop. How are you guys feeling about that strategy now?
I feel at this moment, I don't think it's really going to pay off unless Bert, obviously he had the electrical issue, so hopefully he's taken some new tyres with that, so he might be able to bring his way through the field, but I'm highly doubtful about getting points for Senna, I'm afraid. But Bourdais he's doing quite well. He's got a fairly steady pace as well.
Okay, thanks for that, Ryan. We'll catch up with you guys at the end. Scott Woodwis, devastating for Van Dorn at the start. Ericsson deciding to go for the no-stop strategy. How do you feel about the way things have gone for him? Was that the right call?
Truthfully, Jake, I think this race is a write-off at the moment. Yes, there's still half the race to go, but Ericsson's a lap down. I'm rather disappointed that Van Dorn's car didn't last more than 2 laps. And this has happened the first 3 races now, which is incredibly frustrating. So I think, truthfully, we're just going to get Ericsson to the end. And I think for a strategy like this, you need more horsepower, and it hasn't worked. So, yeah, truthfully, I'm not happy. But we'll wait and see how the rest of the race plays out. Ericsson's still going. I just hope he gets to the end, so at least we've got something to work with, because if these results carry on like this, then unfortunately it's going to be quite a long season for us, because we're not going to have that much budget to work with, and it's going to be frustrating not to be able to develop whilst we watch other teams drive away from us. So,
are you guys hopeful for Taupo? Because that's a circuit that could well suit the Simtech.
At this stage, truthfully, no idea. We're okay at Marrakesh, but yeah, this race is a bit of a write-off, to be honest. So I just want Marcus to get to the end, and we'll see what New Zealand brings, if anything. To be
Fair enough, Scott. Hard luck. Tom Cairns, we've come to you at a very devastating moment as well. It finally looked as though De La Rosa had got the monkey off the back, but yet again, more drama for Prost. It just couldn't be going any worse, could it?
Well, it can't get any worse, could it? I mean, the only way it can get worse is if Ferrari has a mechanical problem as well, which would add more insult to injury, really. I know it's bitterly disappointing, because that's 3 races in a row that De La Rosa has been in the top 4 or the top 5, and has had to pull out because of a mechanical problem. I mean, it was I believe it was a transmission problem in Kyalami, water leak in. It was a loose wheel in Morocco, and now it's a water leak here in Bathurst. So it's a massively disappointing day for him. But now we've just got to rest our hopes now on Jaime to come away with at least something and salvage what's left, really, because it's once again been another disappointing show from our team.
Okay, unfortunate, Tom. Hopefully the second half of the race will do you guys better. Over to Sam Hall at Manor, and I have to say, it's looking fairly rosy now for you guys. De Grassi has got himself into a decent points-paying position, and it could well be a podium for you guys.
Yeah, De Grassi is looking quite strong for this. If he can get a podium, I think he might actually take the lead of the championship, but unfortunately, Brendan Hartley's suffered more issues again. It's reliability for a 3rd race in a row. After a water leak failure in the last race in Morocco, we invested heavily in some gaffer tape to tape up that pipe. But sadly, that hasn't been enough. So, I mean, we might need to invest in another roll of gaffer somewhere down the line.
Love the way you guys go about this. Thank you very much indeed, guys. Hopefully, it's going to be a very successful second half of the race for our drivers as we get back into the action once again. Nick Heidfeld up the inside of one of the AGSs. I think that is Rossi. Indeed it is. So Heidfeld now into 12th position. But devastating misfortunes for some. De La Rosa out, De Resta out, Bernoldi out, Hartley out, Van Dorn out. And as you could hear, some bitter recriminations from the managers of Prost and Simtech, Tom Cairns and Scott Woodwis, basically prepared to write this race off as a bad job. But there's nothing they can do about it. And unfortunately, the luck just hasn't been with either team so far this season. It's been bitter cruel for both. Hopefully, the second half of the season is going to see better fortunes for them. But it is very impressive to see how Vern is going. Another new fastest lap for him now, a 1:49.875. It's a long old circuit this, a long old lap. As Andre Lotterer runs in 3rd position behind Kamui Kobayashi. Sebastian Bourdais in 4th. De Grassi is in 5th position. That car of De La Rosa is still quite close to the racetrack, I noticed. They couldn't really move it out of position there because the grandstand is behind it, so that car still remains at the final turn. In 6th is Glock, 7th is Jene, 8th is Davidson, 9th is Buemi, and 10th is Hulkenberg. So Buemi and Hulkenberg, who had that no-stop strategy, they have got their cars in the points at the moment, and they're on the same sort of levels of fuel as the cars in front of them. So there is still a chance of those non-stoppers getting a point or two. Courtney is 11th, 1 place out of the points on home soil. Then Heidfeld, Rossi, Alguersuari and Wolf. And then behind them, behind Alguersuari and Wolf, we've got 16th is Bertie. Then Senna, Ericsson, Tarquini, Delatraz, Inui, De La Rosa, De Resta, Bernoldi, Hartley and Van Dorn all out of the race. So a very exciting run. But it's Jean-Eric Verne who leads, 17 seconds now ahead of Kamui Kobayashi. He's done a great job through the pit stops and is running very well indeed. So an absolutely terrific run. Can they get it together? We will see some really exciting battles through all of the competitors. It's going to be a tough old race to finish this one. 20 laps to go. We're on lap 31 out of 50. And Verne is your leader. Kobayashi 2nd. Lotterer is 3rd. So the battle continues on its way. Kobayashi Lotterer, Bourdais, De Grassi. And still they run. An absolutely fascinating battle so far. Verne, Kobayashi, Lotterer, Bourdais, De Grassi. Half a minute between them. And then we have Glock, Jenné and Davidson from Buemi and Hulkenberg. Courtney, Heidfeld, Rossi, Alguersuari and Wolf ahead of Bertie, Senna, Ericsson and Tarquini, with Delatraz and Inouye lapped. And they are the only two cars to have been lapped in this race. The others are all out. So Lotterer down the straight once again. Into the right-hander. Very fast sweeper climbing up the hill. Cars have lasted a lot longer than they have done over the course of the previous two races, but obviously it was always going to be a very tough race here at Bathurst. Verne is your leader, Kobayashi second, Lotterer third, Bourdais in fourth, De Grassi is in fifth position. And then there's your leader, Jean-Eric Verne, who continues to lead for BAR. No major catastrophes for them at the moment. Sixth is Glock. Seventh is Jenné. Eighth is Davidson. Ninth is Buemi. 10th is Nico Hulkenberg. And then in 11th is Courtney from Heidfeld and Rossi. Alguersuari and Wolf. Then Bertie, Senna, Ericsson and Tarquini. Delatraz and Inouye. The retirements, Pedro de la Rosa of the Prost team. He retired with a water leak a few laps ago. And on the same lap, Paul di Resta spun the car after an electrical issue. He was trying to bring the car back to the pits, but didn't manage it. And then Bernoldi out of the race with a mechanical failure while running in the top 10. Brendan Hartley was looking good for a point, as was Stoffel van Dorn, but both of them retired in the first 4 laps of racing. So out in front, it is Jean-Eric Verne. In front of this man, Kamui Kobayashi, who's been one of the stars of the season. He won the race at Kyalami in South Africa, the season opener. This man won the next race, last time out at Marrakesh in Morocco. He's there in third at the moment. Bourdais is fourth, De Grassi is fifth. So a very exciting battle, but there's still a long way to go in this race. We haven't really had the full after effects of what's happened. And let's not forget that even if the cars make it at Bathurst, they're going to be in much higher risk of a mechanical problem at Taupo in New Zealand. So they've got to make sure that the car is working to the best possible situation. It's a long season, 15 races in total. And the opportunity for every single car to get a victory at some stage, if it is at all possible. Now this is Verne. He is closing up to lap. I can't quite make out. Is that Marcus Ericsson in the Simtech? I think it is. So Verne is going to lap Ericsson. They've had a terrible start to the season, and that's unfortunate considering that the Ilmor engine is very powerful, and Marcus Ericsson and Stoffel van Dorn are both very adequate race drivers. They really should be doing better. Hopefully at Taupo things will get better. We'll find out about that on Friday. But Verne is running well out in front, and so far the Playlife engine is just ticking over nicely. They seem to have found a rhythm that works. It looks like a lot of cars are going to get to the end of this race here at Bathurst, which is very good news indeed for the entire championship, because it means, of course, that every single team in the grid is going to get some prize money from this one. Hulkenberg there in 10th position in front of Courtney. He's trying to get away from the home hero. James Courtney pushing hard, and he's been held up behind the 40 at the wrong moment, so that was a very tactical overtake from Hulkenberg to keep himself in the top 10. There's Andre Lotterer in the AGS, running well. So the battle continues. And still, the race goes on. Taki Inouye just getting out of the way there of James Courtney. And I have a feeling there's a few choice Australian swear words in that helmet for James Courtney. Not exactly where he wanted to be stuck. And so Jean-Eric Verne is now making his way along the faster part of the course. That's Alguersuari in a very similar boat to Marcus Ericsson. The two cars that are remaining out of the points and struggling to get back into them. They've got to hope that a few more cars in front kick the bucket. And there's a handful of teams now that only have one car in the race. Manor only has the one. That's De Grassi, who's running in 5th position at the moment. Prost have one. It's this one, Jaime Alguersuari. Simtech only have the one car. That's Marcus Ericsson. Also one car left in the race for Lola. That is Susie Wolf. The first retirement of the season for Lola from Paul di Resta earlier on. And Luciano Berti is the sole remaining Midland. And we nearly had only one remaining Onyx because Bruno Senna had an electrical issue, but he was able to bring the car back to the pits to get the car reset. So Verne leads, Kobayashi second, Lotterer, Bourdais, Degrassi, Delatraz, you're riding on board with there in the 40. He gets lapped by the Minardi, and for once, Delatraz is actually in front of Taki Inui, but it looks as though today there are not going to be any points on the board for the 40 team. Back to reality after their African barn dance. De La Rosa, De Resta, Bernaldi, Hartley and Van Dorn are the only retirements from this race as we are on lap 35 out of 50 as Jean-Eric Verne, there he is, leads the way as he has done for every single lap of this race. The first two races of the season have been pretty mega in terms of the changes of the lead, but Verne has made this race his own. He's absolutely dominated, and I think Bathurst has actually given us a very interesting race, but certainly not the chaos and carnage that we were expecting to see from this race that we saw from the first two. Maybe Taupo will be very different. Of course, they've got that massive long straight leading into the final chicane and on the run to the first corner, and it's where they held the A1 Grand Prix World Series back in the latter part of the 2000s at Taupo Motorsport Park. That's our next race, and again it'll be open season as to who gets an opportunity to go for the victory there. Good battles all the way through this field, and of course they'll have to carry over the engines and transmissions and gearboxes and everything that they had from this race, and they will be worn out after a race at Bathurst, so Taupo could well be a bit of a lottery again. Up the inside comes a bold move from our race leader Verne. Oh, and Bourdais nearly goes into the wall. Goodness me, Sebastian Bourdais pushing hard to get away from Lucas Di Grassi. And that was very nearly game over for Bourdais. A rub of the wall could have meant a loose wheel. We saw several of those at Marrakesh because cars just got a little bit too close to the wall a couple of times. But fortunately, Bourdais was able to get out of that one. So Bourdais in the Onyx continues on his way. Over the top of the crest comes Jean-Eric Verne, who leads comfortably. Kobayashi in second. Lotterer in third from Bourdais. De Grassi. Then in sixth position, it is Glock. Jene, Davidson, Boemi and Hulkenberg. And then in 11th is Courtney in front of Heidfeld, Rossi and Alguersuari. There's Susie Wolf battling with Jaime Alguersuari at the moment. Then it's Bertie, Senna, Ericsson, Tarquini, Delatraz and Inui. And then we have the 5 cars who are out of the race. But Lotterer still going well. In third position, looking to add to his score after last time out at Marrakesh. With 15 laps to go here at Bathurst. It's going to be a tough old race, but we knew it was going to be a difficult one. But certainly the cars are a little bit better dialed into Bathurst than they were at Kyalami. And that means that there's a lot more finishes likely to happen. That means a lot of prize money to all the teams. They'll get a bit more from this race than they would have done previously with 2 DNFs. Because it looks as though no team is going to have 2 DNFs. But now I've just said it, so surely one of them is likely to. But Verne is your leader. Kobayashi second. Lotterer, Bourdais, De Grassi. And then in sixth position it is Glock from Jene and Davidson. Boemi and Hulkenberg. And then we've got James Courtney in front of Heidfeld, Rossi and Alguersuari. Wolf is 15th. Bertie, Senna, Ericsson, who is the first person to have been lapped. Although Bruno Senna, as you can see there on screen, is not far away from being lapped by Jean-Eric Verne. Then Gabriele Tarquini in the BMS Italia as Wolf gets up the inside of Alguersuari. Bertie's in trouble. Bertie's in trouble. Well, I did say that there are no teams that were going to have no finishers. And unfortunately for Midland, I've just jinxed them. So Midland now have 2 retirements. Luciano Bertie is out of the race again with a mechanical problem. It's a transmission failure. They've not had any luck so far this season, Midland. And Luciano Bertie is out of the race as well. Well, that's devastating. Bad luck for Midland. No points, no finishers. And they're only going to get the starting money then from Bathurst. It's a total write-off for Midland with one of the most powerful engines in the field, the Toyota. But they've just had no luck at all in terms of the first couple of races of running them. As James Courtney is trying to get away at the moment from the Super Aguri of Nick Heidfeld that is there in 12th position. Super Aguri are finally looking to get a race finish on the board. They haven't had one yet, and their man Timo Glock is currently in P6. And that will be very good for the Super Aguri team if they can just hang on to it. There's the leader, Jean-Eric Verne, looking for BAR's first ever race victory. They came close a few times in Formula 1, but in the Grand Prix World Series, backed by Downforce, they have a good chance to finish the job here at Bathurst. As we ride on board with the sole remaining Prost of Jaime Alguersuari chasing after Susie Wolff in the sole remaining Lola. Both these cars had teammates that pulled off on the same lap earlier. And here is the man in third. This is Andre Lotterer. Going well in third position as he chases after the man in second, Kamui Kobayashi. He's only a few seconds up the road. But Jean-Eric Verne and BAR have pushed very hard in this race and they've extended the gap big time as Alguersuari gets back on the inside of Wolff. Looks as though neither Lola or Prost are going to get a point on the board this time. But if they finish, they'll still get £50,000 from the RRML, the Retro Racing Managers League, and they can use that to improve their car after Taupo and before the 5th round of the championship, which is going to be revealed to the contenders after the race, what will be race 5, but it will be the first appearance of a race in Europe. So after this, we will head to Europe for the 5th round of the championship. We won't tell you what the next race is, and you guys won't find out until Friday where the 5th round is going to be, but the team managers, I should say, and the drivers, of course, will find out after the race. So Jean-Eric Verne leads the way from Kamui Kobayashi. Andre Lotterer is third. Bourdais is in 4th place. Then it is Lucas de Grassi in P5. Timo Glock is there in P6 at the moment. Then it is Marc Genet from Anthony Davidson and Sebastian Buemi. Nico Hulkenberg is the man in the points, looking to score the final point. Several drivers that have not yet scored a point. Hulkenberg has yet to score this season. Timo Glock has yet to score this season. And they are both in the top 10. So it's looking good for 2 new faces in the points. And Jean-Eric Verne just continues on his way. He has led every single lap of this race. And that is unusual in the Downforce Grand Prix World Series. Certainly from the first 2 races. We've not had a race yet where the leader has led every lap. Although certainly in Marrakesh, AGS led every single lap. Between them, Lotterer and Rossi. And now Susie Wolff trying to keep back Jaime Alguersuari down the straight up towards the second corner. Alguersuari chucks it up the inside. Wolff keeps him at bay. This is a great performance from Susie Wolff. But Kamui Kobayashi runs in second place. That's Bourdais battling with de Grassi. De Grassi's gone through. De Grassi takes 4th position away from Bourdais. So, yet again, Lucas de Grassi catches and passes Bourdais. But Bourdais not happy with it. Bourdais wants to get back on the inside of de Grassi into the final turn. And Bourdais back in front. This is a brilliant battle between these 2 cars now. And that has held up de Grassi. So now here comes Timo Glock. Glock has got a chance now in P6. Now we're getting some great race action again as the battle continues for P4. Alguersuari now getting held up behind one of the 40s there. So that pretty much curtails the battle between him and Susie Wolff for the moment. He's going to have to catch her up again. And the Prost Ford going reasonably well. It have to be said, though, the Ford engine has definitely not helped out. So I'll have to see if there is a better fortune for them in the second half of the year. But Verne is your leader. Kobayashi second. There is the man in third. That's Andre Lotterer. He's taken the Grand Prix racing like a duck to water. He's only done it once prior to this season, and that was for Caterham at the Belgian Grand Prix in 2014. But he has come back into Grand Prix racing here with the AGS team and doing a fine job. Jean-Eric Verne leads the way. We're on lap 39. We're about to complete it with 11 laps to go. So the long and excruciating punishment for some is not far away from being over. But for Jean-Eric Verne, it looks like it could be a victorious run if he can just keep it together. And Jean-Eric Verne goes into lap 40 out of 50. 11 to go then. Andre Lotterer is in third position behind Kobayashi. And here comes Glock making the move on the inside of de Grassi. Glock is going to try and make the bid. He doesn't. He hangs back. But he's got another chance into the left-hander. He's going to brake late. Does he get through? No, he does not. So de Grassi maintains 5th position. And Kobayashi in second in front of Lotterer, Bourdais, de Grassi and Glock. So the top 6 look pretty much sorted and settled. Certainly the identity of the drivers, if not their actual positions, are looking pretty much set in stone. Verne has extended the gap in the second phase of the race to 25 seconds. Here comes Glock on the inside of Lucas de Grassi. He's in the slipstream. He's thinking about it. See, he needs to stay in the slipstream a little bit longer to go for de Grassi, but he might get a better run out of the right-hander. This might be where he makes his bid. He gets close to de Grassi. Does he make the bid? No, I don't think he managed to go for the inside line. So de Grassi remains in 5th for the moment. And that is again Taki Inui taking on the BAR of Jean-Eric Verne in the slipstream. Let's watch again, because he's going to have the slipstream for Jean-Eric Verne. Is Taki Inui suddenly going to draw alongside, or at least have an attempt to? No, he's not quite close enough, but I love the fact that he's giving it everything he's got. Every time someone comes near him to lap him, he goes, well, I can get you back again, you know. Great to see. Taki Inui, with such spirit and such great form, is lapped for the second time here at Bathurst, as Verne leads from Kobayashi, Lotterer, Bourdais and de Grassi. So the racing continues on. It's an absolute thriller at the present moment. Lap 40 out of 50. And Verne is your leader. Kobayashi in second. Lotterer third. Bourdais is fourth. De Grassi is trying to shake off Timo Glock. Mark Genet and Anthony Davidson looking to make it 7th and 8th for Minardi. Then Buemi is 9th, the leading car of those that chose not to pit. And Hulkenberg is 10th likewise. Courtney is being caught by Heidfeld. Rossi is a few seconds back. Then Wolf and Alguersuari. Senna, Ericsson, Tarquini, Delatraz, Inui, all looking to make it to the finish. But retirements are Berti, De La Rosa, De Resta, Bernaldi, Hartley and Van Dorn. And I'm sorry to say that Midland are not going to score anything other than the starting money from this race, which is to the value of £100,000, 50,000 per car. So a devastating start to the season for Midland. They really have got their backs to the wall. A great engine, but they haven't made use of it. And so there is Lotterer climbing up through the field, climbing up the mountain as he goes sweeping through those left-handers. What a great circuit. Some people said a Grand Prix couldn't be held here. We've proved them wrong, and it's been a great one for Jean-Eric Verne. Kobayashi in second, Lotterer third, Bourdais in fourth, de Grassi in fifth. And so far so good, but the cars are going the distance this time. The reliability upgrades have definitely helped. I wonder if it's basically the teams deciding to go for a very laid-back attitude to Bathurst as well, just to get through to Taupo. So we may see quite a lot more drama at Taupo in New Zealand. There is Bruno Senna going past Taki Inui. And that's to lap him, of course. So Bruno Senna laps Taki Inui, who again is still having a go. And there goes Jean-Eric Verne, the race leader, as he laps Delatraz for the second time. Those 40s are back to reality. What a debut this has been for James Courtney. Let's put that out there. 11th position on his debut in Grand Prix racing of any kind. Replacing Stefano Modena, who's decided to go back to the beach and chill out. And this is a great run from James Courtney on home soil. And of course, he'll be useful at Taupo as well, because he'll have knowledge of that circuit from his supercar days as well. So he is a bit of a dark horse in this field now. No Grand Prix experience as a race driver prior to this, and certainly prior to 2002 when he was a test driver at Jaguar, and would have been British Formula 3 champion that year had it not been for his massive accident at Monza. And that would have set him on the rise to potentially becoming one of the best Grand Prix drivers Australia would ever have seen. James Courtney was a big, big talent in the early 2000s. He decided to go back to Australia after the big shunt and became the Supercars champion. I think it was 2010 he became champion. Although I'm sure someone's now going to write in and correct me. But Verne is your leader. Kobayashi second from Lotterer, Bourdais and Glock. We're on lap 42 out of 50 as the cars are just trying to get their way to the finish now of this grueling race on this very tough circuit. I think everybody just going for a finish rather than a full-out blast for the win, because they want to get some points and they want to get some spending money on the board. So all of the teams that remain are seeking that at the moment. But Jean-Eric Verne is looking to make it 3 different winners from the first 3 races of the season. And the BAR will have never won a Grand Prix prior to this. So it looks as though they're finally going to get their task done. They go up the straight and up towards the right-hander. They will sweep through. And a very good run indeed this for Jean-Eric Vergne. I have to say the driving standards have been very high as well. Not many mistakes through the field compared to what we've seen before. But this is one heck of a race circuit. And they will have wanted to put on a bit of a show here. The crowd are loving it. The virtual crowd. Jean-Eric Vergne leading from Kobayashi and Lotterer. Bourdais and Glock, who is now in P5 past Degrassi. He's made the move. Jenny in 7th. Davidson is 8th from Buemi and Hulkenberg. Then it's Courtney, Heidfeld, Rossi, Wolf, Alguersuari, and then the lap cars, Senna, Ericsson, Tarquini and Delatraz from Taki Inui in 20th. The others are all race retirements, and that's Berti, Della Rosa, Di Resta, Bernaldi, Hartley and Van Dorn. So it looks like we're going to have a lot of finishes. That's a lot of prize money to go to a lot of teams that will help them in their race development. So Vergne running well. Kobayashi second. We're on board with Lotterer. He's in third on lap 43 out of 50 as the leader is about to start lap 44 of the Grand Prix of New South Wales. So Vergne running well. Kobayashi, Lotterer, Bourdais, Glock and Degrassi. Then the two Minardis, Jenny and Davidson 7th and 8th. And then it's Buemi in 9th and Hulkenberg in 10th for Arrows. So 3 teams at least are going to get double point scores. But that's the luck of the draw in the Downforce Grand Prix World Series. You never know who's going to do what in this series. And when we get to Taupo, I have a feeling we could have a very strong race again. So down the straight comes Jean-Eric Vergne. Kobayashi is second, Lotterer third from Bourdais and Glock. And we're on lap 44 out of 50 in the Grand Prix of New South Wales here at Bathurst. So we're getting close to the end of a thrilling encounter. Lotterer running well. In third position. He's a few seconds behind Kamui Kobayashi. So if anything were to happen now, we would definitely be in the dramatic stages of racing where a critical error or a critical mechanical problem could give us all the difference in this race that we need. Lap 44 of 50. Bourdais still trying to get away from Timo Glock, who, having dealt with Degrassi, is now trying to get into 4th position. So we're looking at Kamui Kobayashi in the Arrows, running in 2nd place. Vergne is taking on the bottom of the drop of the mountain. And now onto the Conrod Straight. Lotterer going well in 3rd, as you can see. Kobayashi in 2nd place. Let's see what's happening for 4th. There's Bourdais being caught by Timo Glock. So Glock is pushing hard on Sebastian Bourdais. And Timo Glock wants to get right up close. Degrassi's still right there in 6th position, so this is definitely the battle to be keeping an eye on at the moment. 4th, 5th and 6th, and Timo Glock is right there behind the Onyx. And then in 7th is Lucas Degrassi, so it still could be any one of these 3 getting 4th position. There's not much to choose between them at all. And Glock looks like he's going to be in the slipstream of Bourdais this time. So down the straight they come. And Glock is definitely going to have a chance here to get into 4th position on Sebastian Bourdais. He's going to use the slipstream. This is going to be the difference between the Isuzu engine and the Mugen. They come through, flying through the right-hander, up towards the final chicane. There's no overtaking move there just yet. Well, we go back to the leader, who's on lap 45 now. 6 laps to go. And here comes Glock on the inside. Glock is going to get there for 4th. Good move from the Super Aguri. So Glock is into P4. That's held up Bourdais big time. So the Onyx is now a sitting target for Degrassi. Degrassi may get a run here for 5th position to get back through on Bourdais. Great racing between those 3. Heidfeld still ticking over there in the other Super Aguri as he tries to close up on Courtney and get away from Rossi. Andre Lotterer running well in 3rd. Jean-Eric Vergne is your leader on lap 45 out of 50. 6 to go. It's a tough old race, this one, that is for sure. But Lotterer is having a good run in 3rd position. Kobayashi lapping the BMS Italia of Gabriele Tarquini. Tarquini trying to come back at him. Why not? Spicing it up a little bit for Tarquini. Because, of course, Kobayashi got him at a rather awkward point on the circuit there, and that held him up a little bit. Marcus Ericsson still keeping himself in the game as he tries to lap Taki Inui round the outside. And Taki Inui is going to make it hard for him. He's going to be on the slipstream again. But this is Taki Inui. He always wants to give us entertainment, even when there isn't much to speak of. He'll try his best. But Jean-Eric Vergne Comes across the line. 5 laps to go. And here we go. Taki Inui going to try get back on with Marcus Ericsson. And this time he's actually made it through. Taki Inui unlapping himself from Marcus Ericsson, who's not going to be happy about that at all. But the Simtek really struggling at Bathurst in qualifying and the race. This time the car hasn't looked as competitive as we've seen from Kyalami and Marrakesh. Ericsson just trying to get back into it, but we see this many times in Grand Prix racing. A car that's suited to a particular circuit isn't suited to another one. So there's no fairy tale for Simtek at Bathurst. However, at Taupo, it could be very different. So Verne, Kobayashi, Lotterer, Glock, Bourdais is your top 5. But Bourdais is under increasing pressure from De Grassi. There's not much to choose between those two. As we ride with Jean-Eric Verne on lap 46 out of 50. As he closes up on the Prost of Jaime Alguersuari to lap it. Meanwhile, Lotterer is gaining ground on the BMS Italia of Tarquini. And Ericsson is still having this terrific battle with Taki Inui. At least he's keeping us entertained. Both of them are. Taki Inui has another go at Ericsson. Well, Taki Inui's about to be caught by Delatraz. And that's going to be an inter-team squabble. Because Delatraz is actually ahead of Inui, and Inui is about to be lapped by his own teammate. Never thought I'd say that. So Kobayashi in second place is closing up on the 240s. This could be a bit of a headache for them. And Delatraz and Inui are just playing with each other now. They're just having a bit of a laugh out down the Conrod Straight. Ericsson's well clear. Here comes Taki Inui. And he's trying to keep his teammate back. Delatraz has lapped him. And Taki Inui does not want his teammate to lap him. We're having some great final laps battles between the 240s. And Kobayashi's approaching them. These guys could really cause a bit of a problem for Kamui Kobayashi. Kobayashi's held up by Taki Inui. Get out of the way, you miserable racer. Comes Kamui Kobayashi. He gets past his countryman. But that's held up Taki Inui big time. It's also held up Kobayashi a lot as well. So Lotterer will have caught him up significantly there. There was about 6 seconds between the two cars. There's now only about 3. So Kobayashi will be very fed up with Taki Inui. And I think Delatraz will be as well. What are you doing racing me? I'm a lap ahead of you. Taki's like, no, I want to go racing. Brilliant stuff. We're on lap 47. 4 to go. As Jean-Eric Verne closes up on Susie Wolf to lap her. And she's in 14th place. Round the outside comes Verne. Careful, Jean. Well, Jev is going to make the move if he can get it happening. And he makes a good move. Now, that's a problem for Susie Wolf, though, because that's backed her into Jaime Alguersuari. Meanwhile, Lotterer is not going to hang around. He gets past Taki Inui fairly quickly. And he's going to dive up the inside. Oh, that's Tarquini getting past Inui. Lotterer now needs to dive up the inside of Delatraz and get past him. So Delatraz is not getting out of the way. That's a problem for Lotterer. Lotterer trying to come through and finally does it. As I think that's Tarquini behind. Just lapping 140 and then lapping the other one. Now Alguersuari has got past Wolf and Wolf is trying to come back at him. So Susie Wolf is trying to make her way past Jaime Alguersuari once again. This battle's been going on for most of the race and Susie Wolf is committing to the move. All of a sudden there's some frantic activity in this race as Wolf tries to go for... Now that's De Grassi making the bid at last on Bourdais. Down the Conrod Straight. And surely this time De Grassi's going to get the job done into 5th position and he gets there past Bourdais. So De Grassi is now P5. A thrilling manoeuvre. Lotterer in 3rd. Glock is 4th. De Grassi 5th and Bourdais down to 6th. Thrilling racing in the closing stages. They're trying to give us a show. Tarquini now trying to take on Inui, who's got back past Tarquini. And there goes the Super Aguri. That's Nick Heidfeld, I'm fairly sure. So Heidfeld has unlapped himself. Oh, he managed to get past Tarquini. Tarquini's got great straight line speed. That's the thing about these different cars. He's going to unlap himself from Heidfeld. All sorts of chaos around the closing stages of this race at Bathurst. It may not have had a lot of retirements, but there's certainly a lot of duelling. As Kobayashi runs half a minute now behind Verne. Now, what are the fuel loads doing? Because there have been some races in the past where the attrition's gone very high. Let's have a look and see. Timo Glock in 4th position. He is going to make it to the line, no problem. Lotterer, Kobayashi, and Jean-Eric Verne out in front. All should be fine. Yes, Verne is going to run it quite close to the edge, but not quite running dry. There have been some Grand Prix 2 races in the past, certainly run on this sim, where drivers will run out of fuel in the closing stages because the cars get very thirsty, but they've been very conservative, all of them, here at Bathurst. And it looks as though quite a few cars are going to make it to the finish. We've still got 20 runners of the 26 that started. So clearly the upgrades have been working at Bathurst at least, but that means that the cars will be running very hungry when we get to Taupo in New Zealand. 2 laps to go. Jean-Eric Vergne comes up towards turn 2. As Delatraz still battling. These 40s are still battling with cars that are several laps ahead of them. As Delatraz unlaps himself from Tarquini. I have a feeling that Dave Godden and Adam Weller are going to have some words after the race with each other. Why are you instructing your cars to race with us when we're a lap ahead? And I think the answer is going to be cause. Tarquini dives through, very frustrated. Gets through on the inside of the 40s. These are the last 3 cars in the race, Tarquini and the 240s. Almost sounds like a rock band, doesn't it? Tarquini and the 240s. But up the hill comes Kamui Kobayashi, running in second place after his win at Kyalami. Another podium is in the offing as Inui goes side by side with his teammate Delatraz. What are these two up to? Seriously. They just wanted to spice up the show a little bit. And Jean-Eric Vergne running beautifully in this race. He has led every single inch of this race. It's the most dominant performance in Downforce Grand Prix World Series yet. And in the 3rd race of the season, he comes up and over the top of the crest. And he's running beautifully well. So here they come again. And it's looking so good for Jean-Eric Vergne as he goes into the final lap. He will start it as he comes out of the final turn now. Not many retirements, but certainly a lot of overtakes and a lot of good battling. And some mixed strategies, which have worked to varying degrees of success. There's Lotterer in 3rd, trying to chase down Kamui Kobayashi. And there is the fight between 11th and 12th. That's James Courtney trying to fend off from Rossi, but Rossi has got back through. So Rossi gets into 11th in the end. Courtney in 12th from Heidfeld. Then Alguersuari and Wolf, who have both been lapped. And then it's Senna, Ericsson, Tarquini, Inui and Delatraz. And of course, Inui and Delatraz are just mucking about, having some fun out there now. So here they come, and Vergne is running in the lead. In fact, I think Inui is actually battling Delatraz for position. That's why they're fighting with each other. I think Inui has caught Delatraz and passed him. So a little bit of an inter-team squabble towards the end there. Lotterer closing in on Kobayashi. And there is Kobayashi. He's coming up to Ericsson, who is going to get a race finish now. Everyone running on the circuit is going to be classified, so they'll all get prize money for that. But this man is out in front. Jean-Eric Vergne looking good for the victory as he comes through the final few corners here at Bathurst. And he's made this race his own. From pole position to the fastest lap to the race victory. Sometimes it just clicks. And he has done all of it today. And that's going to put Jean-Eric Vergne potentially up to the front end of the championship. A fantastic run. And that's going to put BAR into the lead of the team standings as well. Out of the Conrad straight and up to the final few corners. It's been dominant from Jean-Eric Vergne. He's led every lap. He was pole position. He set the fastest lap earlier on. And now he will come out of the final turn victorious. Jean-Eric Vergne is going to get the victory at Bathurst. Fantastic performance from him and the BAR Play Live squad. And he sets the fastest lap again on the last lap of the race. Just to rub it in. Jean-Eric Vergne is victorious. And it's over the line for several cars in this race. They're all going to come home in fine style. There's Kamui Kobayashi. He's going to be second. And I think actually, with a win and a second place, he might go to the lead of the driver's standings. So it's been a great start to the season for Arrows. No luck with Hulkenberg, but he is going to get a point today. And that's important for the Arrows team. So Kamui Kobayashi comes home second. Lotterer is going to come home in third. A great run for him. Timo Glock finally puts a decent points run on the board for Super Aguri. Fourth position for Glock. And a sigh of relief for them. Degrassi in a brilliant fifth. Bourdais in sixth place. Tarquini beats the 240s home. And then Gene is going to come home seventh. Another points finish for Minardi. Seventh place for them. Davidson has actually got some danger on the last lap here because Buemi is catching him to try and snatch a point or two extra away. So Buemi and Hulkenberg have come into this very late. But Davidson is trying to hang on to this 8th place finish right at the death. Davidson just needs one more corner to negotiate to come through. Buemi's doing everything he can to close up, but it's too late. Davidson's going to get 8th position in front of Buemi and Hulkenberg, and they are the point scorers. A fantastic finish to the race for them. Rossi outside the points. Courtney, what a great debut for him, but 12th. And then Heidfeld will be 13th. But this man is the man who has got the job done in fantastic style. Jean-Eric Vergne is your race winner on the Mount Panorama circuit at Bathurst. Absolutely phenomenal performance. Let's have a look and double check it and confirm. There is your race result. Jean-Eric Vergne is your winner of the Grand Prix of New South Wales. Kamui Kobayashi in second from Andre Lotterer and Timo Glock. Lucas de Grassi and Sebastian Bourdais from Marc Genet and Anthony Davidson. Sebastian Buemi gets 9th, and the final point, at last a point, for Nico Hulkenberg in front of Alex Rossi, James Courtney, Nick Heidfeld and Al Ghaswari. We can talk you through the rest of the finishes today because there actually are quite a few finishes in this particular event. Susie Wolf in 15th from Bruno Senna and Marcus Ericsson, then Tarquini, Inui, Delatraz, and then the retirements. Berti, Della Rosa, Di Resta, Bernaldi, Hartley and Van Dorn. There are only a handful of team managers in pit road to speak to on this particular occasion, but that doesn't mean we won't speak to the ones we can. I think the party has already started and the celebrations are already well underway at BAR as their man has taken victory in fantastic fashion. But let's go down and speak to our team managers as they reflect on a brilliant race and an absolutely fascinating performance it has been for our competitors. So we will speak to a few of them. Unfortunately, the ones that didn't really get the best of the deal today. But we can speak to certainly a handful of them. And we've already really spoken to Scott and Tom, so I wouldn't want to rub it in by making it even worse for them. Let's go down and speak to a few of the drivers after a fantastic run, the team managers. Let's speak to, first of all, Ryan Ferris with the Onyx team. A top 6 finish again, but it kind of tailed off towards the end of the race there. It got very difficult.
Yes, it has, and this is the 3rd race in a row where Bourdais has found himself having to fend off some opposition in the last few laps. This time it didn't quite work out for him, but still very strong performance from him. As for Senna, obviously he was a bit unlucky with having the electrical issue and didn't manage to really recover from that. So hopefully he has a bit more luck going into Taupo.
Okay, fair enough, Ryan, and some more points on the board for Onyx. Good performance. Over to Sam Hall. A great feisting drive at the end there from Lucas de Grassi to get himself into the top 5, and that's put some more very valuable points on the board.
Yeah, my main concern for the next race, though, is reliability, because obviously we can't make changes or anything between races, so I think de Grassi might struggle, but Brendan Hartley, who's not got any points yet, has retired in all 3 races. I think he could be the one to watch in the next race. Yeah, I would tip Hartley to get a podium in the next race.
Wow, that's bold fighting talk from Sam Hall and the Manor team. Over to Tom Cairns at Prost. Well, Al Ghaswari did bring it home, but it's still all about De La Rosa's retirement, which really has kind of put the kibosh. But at least a finish now for the Prost team, so you will get some prize money from that.
And it's prize money that is what's necessary for this team. But I think the biggest loss was obviously with De La Rosa's World League. That was a really massive blow because we really could have done with the much bigger prize money. I mean, Al Ghaswari's finish is a consolation. I mean, 15th, I suppose, isn't too bad. I mean, we were hoping that a lot of the other cars would drop out throughout the event. But to be fair, I think given the much improved reliability in Bathurst, I think all the other teams have done a very good job in getting the reliability sorted for their cars. Otherwise, it could have been a race of attrition, really. But a very full credit to Jean-Eric Vergne and to the BAR team because they very much deserved it. Pole position fastest up in the race win. But as regards to my team, definitely some improvements to sort out for next time out in New Zealand.
Fair enough. Thank you, Tom. We'll have a quick word with Scott Woodward as well. Marcus Ericsson in a frustrating position, but at least he decided to get in there and have a bit of a scrabble and prove that he's still got the racecraft that, you know, he's always had. And I do get the feeling with this package, though, that all it's going to take is the right circuit, and you guys could be fighting for a podium.
Truthfully, Jake, I don't know at this stage. Marcus shouldn't have been fighting the 40s at the back. I don't know why we went the zero-stop strategy. I mean, it seemed to be the wrong decision. I'm frustrated that despite the reliability work we did, Van Dorn still didn't finish a race. At this stage already, right now, I don't know. I don't know what Taupo brings, to be honest. I mean, we've proven, at least in the first couple of races, that we've done well, but I think that the improvements that some people have made.
Oh, we seem to have lost Scott there. I'm not quite sure what's happened, but we seem to have... Oh, that's better. That's better. There we go.
No, I was saying, we need to get some finishes and we need to get some better results, because, as I said, if we can't start finishing in the points more regularly and getting more money, we're just going to be stuck at the back of the grid. So all we can do is pack up, head to New Zealand, and just cross our fingers and hope for the best. But yeah, mood's not the greatest in the SimTech team right now. We've got one car to the end, which is some kind of a bonus. But yeah, let's just hope when we go across the Taupo things will be better. But yeah, well, I'll have to pick the boys up and see what we can do next time.
Okay, well, hopefully we will see Simtex in the points twice at Taupo. That'd be great to see them get some points on the board. Alex Goldschmidt of the Minardi team, a double finish for the team, which is obviously very positive, and both in the points, and Davidson able to fend off from the pressure right at the end as well.
Yeah, I think by having worked, the power increase that we've had, I think, has just worked to our advantage. I mean, I haven't said to the guys, look, just go for it in qualifying, because we have seen over the last couple of races, now with both Marrakesh and Mountain Panorama, where we've taken two successive points finishes from both drivers, with Anthony improving all the time, Mark just being very, very consistent. But going into Taupo, it's going to be a different unknown variable, I think, is very much as what Scott has just said. So we're just going to cross our fingers and hope that it works. But as we've seen throughout this season so far, anything's possible.
Okay, well, it's great to hear from you all. Thanks for racing again, and we will, of course, continue on our season with the fourth race of the championship, which is going to be at New Zealand on the Taupo Motorsport Park circuit, which last held the A1 Grand Prix World Series back in 2008, and it's going to be great to see that in the world of Grand Prix racing again. There are 15 races in the season. We've got more from the Retro Racing Managers League coming, including Group C, IndyCar racing for the Indy Racing League, Champ Cars, Formula 3000, you name it. We're going to be putting all sorts of leagues together. If you're interested, then do please get in touch with us, downforceuk@hotmail.co.uk, or like and subscribe to all of our social media channels. It's going to be a really exciting battle for the end of the season as we head to round 4 of the championship. But from all of us here at Bathurst, Mount Panorama in Australia, it's a third different winner from 3 different races, and the championship is really on. I'm Jake Sanson. Bye for now.